This is surviving the music industry.
That sounds sick.
I didn't think about how that sounded.
You hear that sound? That only means one thing. It's a brand new episode of SMI, Surviving the Music Industry. I'm your host, Reinert Harrington. It's a show that never ends, but it ends for about a month and a half because I need a break from humanity, social media, just to remind myself that I'm human again. But, you know, we end, but it's a show that never wants to end. It doesn't matter. Here we are. You're listening. Brand new episode. You're listening to my podcast, and you're wanting to listen into a conversation with Rachel Reinert. She was amazing. She was great. Super nice person. I think I say that about everybody. I mean, is everybody truly that nice? Every once in a while, I've had an asshole or two on this show. Maybe one day I'll tell you. I don't know. But Rachel, she was awesome. It was great. We talked about her new record, Into the Blue, and everything else. But how's everybody 2020 going? Do we want 2019 back already? If we look back at it now, or are we just kind of thinking, it wasn't that bad. Am I right? So this is where we're at, people. You're probably sick and tired about all the content, and there's even songs about the virus. I don't want to go into it, and you guys know me already. That especially, nothing offends me, truly. There's nothing that offends me. There's things that bother me, obviously. Hence, my spirit animal is Larry David. But especially with the coronavirus, it's getting crazy. I mean, it's this whole quarantine situation. Everybody stay back 8 feet. People are losing their gigs. People are not working anymore. People are just buying crap off the shelf that they don't even need. Beef jerky, that stuff never goes old. Can you really get sick from beef jerky? Is this a thing? And then toilet paper. That's the most dumbfounding thing to me, is that in the future, our national currency is going to be toilet paper and hand sanitizer. This is going to be it, everybody. I mean, we're not passing out the Benjamins anymore. We're passing out the Purell. And we're going to use Purell to buy toilet paper. We're going to use toilet paper to buy Purell. I don't know. I don't know where we're at in this country, in this time of life. But the funniest thing to me so far about this entire situation is that everybody's being quarantined, right? Everybody's expecting, or maybe the pros, not everybody, but the pros, the people that do these statistics, because of the quarantine, there's going to be a boom of babies. We're talking about boomers, everybody, but we're talking about virus boomers. This is going to be a thing in the future, because there's just a bunch of breeders that are getting bored and they're stuck together. We got nothing to do. They don't want to fight over the TV anymore. They got through with their puzzles. They're 1,000-piece puzzles, and now they're just going to go breed, and then they're going to have babies. They're going to have boomer babies. I mean, I'm married. I totally get it. I understand it. It happens, but here's the thing that's going to bother me the most is that we start naming babies because of the virus. I mean, I'm gonna flip my lid if I hear a baby and their name is Corona. I mean, this generation COVID-19, if Corona or Corona or quarantine or Elvirus is a baby name in the future, I'm done with humanity. This is it. Cashing in my chips, big guy upstairs, this thing in the universe. I'm just saying, I'm done. Can I have a refund? But it's been nuts. Nashville got hit with the tornadoes. I think we all kind of know this a little bit. It's dying down. There's still a lot of cleanup. Humans are taking care of humans. That's been the most beautiful aspect of this pre-apocalypse situation with the virus. I mean, everybody's been really well in Nashville. Tons of organizations you can help out with. If you can't lend a hand, if you can't get dirty down in the dirt, they can always use money. There's tons of nonprofits that are doing great work. I think you should do your research and look into it. Circle back to the virus situation. Everybody choose the voice of reason that you want to listen to, kind of whatever that means. I mean, don't go listening to the people that are just, it's crazy, because you don't want to be crazy. You don't want to be the other person on the other end of the line that is crazy, because it's crazy right now. All right? Be reasonable. Be human. Do right. Is it so hard to do right? Apparently it is, because if everybody's doing right, everything will be right in the world. But it's not right. This is where we're at in humanity in 2020. But if there's anything, especially through this time, everybody doesn't, they're not touring. A lot of artists aren't doing shows. Songwriters are not doing co-writes anymore because of this situation. You would think podcasting, especially what I'm doing, connecting with people, wouldn't get hurt. But, it's hard to book talent in the content situation. So I'm releasing episodes as they come, peeps. They're coming out. But for the crazy in your question, just do right. Wash your hands. Everybody's seen the memes. Stay away. Do a elbow bump. Whatever. Make it as funny and awkward as you want. But we know the things. Just be clean. Take care. Be aware of your surroundings. Sometimes that's hard to ask. But also listen to those voices of reason for whatever that means. All right, I hope everybody's doing well out there. You can always just kind of pop in. I'm kicking up the social media stuff. I'm more of a story updater. I like doing the stories because it's active, it's in the now, and I post the content, the guests, because this show's all about the guest. And so, if you're subscribed to Countryline TV, if you're one of the UK friends, you're part of this Brexit situation. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but we have all our content up there. So new episodes on Countryline TV. There's something in the works in the future that you guys need to stay tuned. And then, of course, all across the podcast networks, anytime you want to know if there's a new episode, just check in at SMI Podcast. And, of course, you go to smipodcast.com. But, hey, let's get on with the show. Rachel Reinert, former member of Gloriana, she decided to kind of go out on her own. She's had projects. She's been writing songs. She's just a powerhouse of a vocalist. She's got cool songs. She's got a cool vibe. We go into it in this whole conversation, her entry and the exit of Gloriana into this new solo life. Anybody that's interested into that situation, we get into a lot of things in our conversation. She's got a new record out, Into the Blue. Download, stream, buy, purchase, everywhere music is sold. Obviously. And of course, you can give her a follow. Facebook, I would say 45 and above, at Rachel Reinert. And of course, if you're Insta, I don't know, what is that? 20 to, 35, at Rachel_Reinert. Of course, she's got a website. You guys do the website thing, RachelReinertmusic.com. This was a great day. The virus situation wasn't hard. No tornado, anything. So, we hit it off. We got along. She walked in. She had a legit jacket. I love the jacket. She had vibe. Just like the record itself has this Laurel Canyon kind of vibe going through the canyon with the top down, the wind blowing. Southern Cowgirl. It's going to happen, right? There's vibes and coolness all day. I think that's what this conversation was. It was gnarly. I enjoyed it. Rachel was awesome. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, but here we go. Here's Rachel.
Just been sort of trying to stay calm through finally putting this album out and just hoping that things work out,
Well, I don't know. You've been doing this solo for a bit.
For 4 years now.
Yeah, so that's a bit.
Mm-hmm. But I've been living in Nashville pursuing my music career for 15 years.
Yeah, since you're like,
half my life.
16? Yeah, so half your life?
Yeah.
Yeah, I make this joke with my wife. She hates it that I'm at my half-life.
Yeah.
Like I'm about to be 35. So I'm at...
So you're only planning on making it till like
X amount.
70?
Oh, she hates it. Well, average. Because let's face it, who really wants to live, past 70? Do you know anybody past 70?
Yeah, I do.
Are they happy?
Yeah, some of them are.
See?
Some of them are.
No,
yeah.
no.
I think it's when you start to have serious health issues that takes over your quality of life.
But you started it out perfect.
It's a yes and no. It's a yes and no. I don't know. I have a grandma who drinks like martinis every single day, and she swims laps and she seems to be living her best life. So
I feel like your grandma's my spirit animal. Like I just feel like that person or that character from Something About Mary, Like the person that Mary lives with, that old lady that's like charcoal from the sun and drinks all day.
Yep.
That's what I want to be.
Aluminum, what are those things called?
I don't know. Get your tan, reflector thing.
A reflector, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I got it right.
I think so.
Wow, I'm amazing. I'm just glad I got it right. I never get things right. But you got to tell me a little bit about yourself, because here's a little confusion in my headspace that I know you're from California, but the old wiki says Florida. Is that a real thing?
So I was born in Florida. I lived in Georgia from when I only lived in Florida for the first year of my life. And then I lived in Georgia until I was 5. And then my family moved to Southern California and in 1994. And then in 2005 was when I decided to make the move to Nashville.
Yeah, but you stayed in Florida for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, enough.
Yeah.
We're good
I don't
there.
remember it, but yeah. But actually, I've got a lot of extended family
I got
out there.
good memories of Florida. I don't remember it.
Well, my grandparents are out there. I've got a lot of aunts and uncles, so I do get out there pretty often. But
Okay, home base, family-wise, Florida.
California, really.
California
Yeah, because
for
my
you.
immediate family is all still out in California.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear that in the record. I hear some California vibes, for sure. I mean, I want to get into that much later, but that Laurel Canyon thing,
Yeah.
Lucinda Williams, Sheryl Crow kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's hot. Did I hit it?
Yeah.
I'm even that much more amazing. I'm so narcissistic. It's going to happen, by the way.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay. Well, but you're also a little narcissistic, too. Like if
As an artist,
yes.
yeah, of course.
Of course we are. If we're on camera.
I think I'm like at like a lesser degree than most, though, I think.
You think so? That's a pretty bold thing to say. Oh, well, I'm a little less than. Nah, I've come back. Maybe did you learn something? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lessons
I think
learned.
my ego got put in check big time in the last few years. So
It'll do it to you.
Yeah.
I feel like, and we'll learn through the story, I feel like that you and I have like a parallel story.
oh yeah,
Like you got kicked in the gut, like whatever that means, and you learn some things about yourself.
of course.
All right, so California, that's home
Yes.
base.
Yep.
So SoCal, but where?
Orange County.
Oh, okay, yeah.
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 So grew up there. I started going to a performing arts school out there in 7th grade. And I did that from 7th grade till 10th grade. I was in the musical theater department.
You were a theater kid.
Total theater kid. And I thought that I was going to move to New York City and do Broadway, and that was going to be my life. And then kind of in the midst of all that, you know, I started to become like a little emo teenager and wanted to write songs, and picked up a guitar and was writing a lot of poetry. And so I kind of figured out that I could put those two together. And then I started to go to concerts, and then all of a sudden my whole dream changed. And then that's sort of what led me to coming to Nashville. And I signed a publishing deal here when I was 16. And I convinced my parents to let me finish up school through independent study and
Okay,
let me move out here. And
what does your mom and dad do to say, hey, 16, go, you can do this?
you know, they were really, really supportive. And my mom stayed with me until I was 18 years old. So old enough to be on my own. And they never really told me what I could or couldn't do. They were all about whatever us kids. I've got two older brothers, and one much younger half brother from a different mom. But they just were all about whatever we were passionate about, going at it full force and doing our thing and just supporting in that.
Were they
And
creative?
No,
Not at all?
no.
Like they can play the radio kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they definitely had really good taste in music, some questionable taste in music, but for the most part, really good. And, you know, I think that's kind of how I got a lot of these influences that came from, you know, the 70s Laurel Canyon era, was because that was the music that, you know, my parents grew up on. And so I listened to a lot of that, and that was always kind of like the foundation of how I wanted my sound to be. But my brothers were athletes. They played all the way through college football, and my dad played college football as well. And my mom was pretty athletic as well. And so, you know, I was kind of the weirdo. And I don't think that they really knew exactly how to, like, what's the right word? I think that for them it was very, like, out of the ordinary.
Oh, yeah. My dad was the same way. I think I can relate to that idea because I'm from Southern Arkansas, East Texas, where art. What is that? My dad expected me to be on a tractor.
Right.
And it was just this weird thing in their mind, and like the path that they laid out, it was different than what I actually am doing. And so it's still that way. Like you go back to the holidays and say, so how's music? Are you making any money? It's still that thing for me.
That's my favorite question.
Yeah. Hey, why don't you get on The Voice? You'd be so good on The Voice.
Yeah, So yeah, anyway. So many things I could say that I won't because I shouldn't.
Here's your opportunity.
But yeah, I think for them it was, okay, well, how do we support this, and what's the best avenue for her? And what initially started out was I got spotted by an agent at a grocery store when I was like 5 years old. And this woman handed my mom her card and was like, I want you to bring your daughter up to LA.
Oh, so this wasn't creepy at all?
It was literally like, my family came from the South and had never really spent any time in California before. And all of a sudden it was like the stars were in the eyes, and it was like the whole thing. And it handed this card over to my mom.
Your dreams are made, sweetie.
Yeah.
I mean, how'd she pitch it? Like, did she like do the child actors thing?
Yeah.
Like, is that how she did it?
Yeah. And so my mom drove me up to this agent's office, like, I don't know, a week later or whatever. And apparently I was 5, so I don't really remember it, but apparently like I jumped on this lady's desk and started like singing and performing, and they signed me on right there and sent me out on auditions for commercials.
We got the next Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. Well,
here.
So here's where it all like kind of came to a head. I landed my first commercial. It was for a department store, and I had my own trailer. And my mom describes it as like just being completely horrified because there were all these people waiting on me hand and foot. And of course, like I'm enjoying it and I'm loving it.
Of course.
And then she's like watching all of these other kids on set who have like cell phones. And at the time, this was like 1995,
It was a Zach Morris cell phone.
Yeah.
It was like those from the Army.
And my mom was just like, this is not working. Like I can't let my kid be in this environment. She said that the moment that somebody like bent down to tie my shoe for me, she was like, that's it. So
wow.
I did the commercial, and then after that my mom was like, all right, we're gonna put you in musical theater. And
what was the commercial? Do you remember?
It was for Hill's Department Store. I've never seen it because it's no longer, but there was a woman named Brett Butler in it, and she was like a really famous like comedian actress at the time.
Okay.
So it was like kind of a big deal, but
yeah, I mean, it would be like in a kid's mind. Well, it's just a game to you.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you know at 5?
Yeah. I just remember there was like a lot of free food, and, people were like doing my hair and my makeup, and I was like, this is awesome.
There's like an ice cream sundae station. You take advantage of.
Yeah, all kinds of catering and everything. So, but anyway, so theater ended up being the thing, and I'm so glad that we ended up going that route because it was just a much more wholesome environment, and
it's
reality a little bit more.
I mean, people that's never been on that other side of the camera, like on that production side, or just behind the scenes, just in general, like you don't know really how gross it is in a weird way. It's either like you love it for whatever it is, like you've become so in tune to that environment, you want to stick around a little bit more. But then there's others that are kind of, I don't know, from Florida that had a different way of life. And when you tap into it, it's kind of like, ooh, this is kind of gross.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's like something that, it's a really hard environment, I think, for young kids to grow up in. And so my mom, her whole thing was, well, if you really love this and want to come back to it, let's do it later on when you're more grown up and your frontal lobes have been developed.
Frontal lobes. I love it. Now, what did mom and dad do?
My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad, he works in real estate.
Okay. I mean, everything seems normal. It doesn't seem like, that you were this child prodigy of talent and they were just stage mom and dad, and you had this weird childhood or situation.
No,
everything just seems normal.
And I actually, like from a young age, could always sing. And so they saw that in me, and they tried their best to nurture it as much as they could, and so it was like a lot of singing at school and stuff like that as well. So
yeah, did you do the church route like growing up?
I went to Catholic school from from probably I think kindergarten through 6th grade. And then started in the performing arts school from 7th grade on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything just sounds a little normal to me.
Very normal upbringing for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
why all the moves? Let me ask that.
My dad, just his job. His
real estate. He followed the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So he kept getting different job opportunities that were just better and better. And he works in property management.
Okay. Again, everything seems normal. I was hoping I was going to talk to a basket case, but you're perfect. You're just
I'm definitely
normal.
not perfect. No. It's definitely I think where I got kind of hardened up a little bit was the transitions from school to school.
Oh, that messed any kid's head up.
Yeah. Well, and coming into I transitioned from one school into another at I think it was 3rd grade. And I thought that I would win all these kids over by singing in front of all of them.
Put on a show. We'll be the most popular kid ever.
Yeah, and at that point, all the cliques had already been kind of formed. You know, from those bonds had started from pre-K. You know, and so I just thought I would come in and because that's what I did before. You know,
thought you could teen wolf it. Let's be honest. You walk in,
and it blew up in my face big time.
Oh yeah.
It was bad. It was really bad. I had a really really hard time in elementary school, which you wouldn't think would be that bad because it's little kids, but man, these kids were vicious. And then, going to the performing arts school was such a relief for me. And I felt like I was finally surrounded by people who did the same things that I did and had the same experiences that I had had.
That's exactly it. I can relate to that because, I didn't know. I just always felt like an alien of just thinking the way I do comedically or musically. And finally being in an environment where nobody has to say that you're accepted, but you just feel accepted.
Right.
You find your own other aliens.
Exactly. Yeah, it was such a huge relief for me. And then, the next step into all of that was moving to Nashville and then,
at 16.
finding even more. Yeah, I know.
See, now that's even...
It's dumb when I think about it.
It's 100%. I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, and then when I meet other kids who are, that age now and I'm writing with them or whatever, I'm just like, man, they're just so young. They should go live their lives and go have some experiences. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I was that kid, And so I who am I to judge, But when I think about it, it is totally insane because I didn't know anybody. I had a publisher and that was it. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any, you can't go out to bars. You can't network, you can't make all the connections, so it was definitely a pretty ballsy move. And
but was it a real situation, like you could grow your career, or was it kind of a scam situation?
No, it was a real
thing.
Yeah, it was an independent publisher, and
who wasn't?
It was a guy named Jerry Smith, and he was also at the time he was working with Josh Osborne.
Yeah.
So I wrote a lot with Josh Osborne, in the early days.
Yeah, was this Black River days, when Josh was over there,
before
Jerry,
that.
It was way before that.
Yeah.
Wow.
A long time ago, 15 years ago.
Okay, I'm time wise, I'm with you.
So. So he had some really good connections. He worked with Ashley Monroe back in the day. He worked with, John Rich. He worked with Red Aiken. So he was originally at a major publishing company, and then he split off to go do his own thing. And so I came into that when he was doing his own thing, and that lasted for, I think I was with him for maybe a year, maybe two. No, yeah, it was just a year, and then that had ended. And
badly?
No, it didn't end badly. It just, he wanted to move to Northern California, and I wasn't writing great songs because I was 16.
16? What life do you know? You're going to be a child actor.
Yeah, right. And
people are tying your own shoes. What do you know?
So anyway, so I, was kind of floundering a little bit. And my dad at one point said, okay, we've given this a couple of years and nothing was happening. And so he was like, maybe it's time to start thinking about coming back home, go to school.
Your dad put real life business mentality.
Exactly.
In the music
my dad
situation.
is a full blown businessman.
Yeah.
And so he starts kind of pulling the plug slowly, And my mom, I just remember her being like, you know, I believe in you, and I think something's going to happen for you. And she bought me this Gibson Dove guitar, which I still have, and it's the best sounding guitar I've ever had. And it's amazing, and I love it so much. And it was kind of like this symbolic thing of her faith in me and what was going to happen. And then I think it was literally like 2 days later or something like that I got the call to have the opportunity to be a part of this band. And so
this mystery band.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's but there's something to, I don't know, I feel like it has to, 2020 hindsight looking now, signing your published deal at 16, which I can only assume this is like a dream that you're kind of working toward. Like you realize you want to do music. Somebody tells you, oh, the next step is, you know, you want to write songs, do the thing.
Yep.
You get a publisher. You got it. I feel like that has to be like an established identity of, oh, I got it. We're making it. This is it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, like, I thought, you know, I was going to get the record deal and I was going to do the thing. And I was, you know, I was making all the demos, and I just couldn't figure out why, for the life of me, it wasn't happening.
Were they putting you like in rooms like with Josh, or I don't know, who would be like a big writer at the time, you know?
Yeah. And he was nobody at that time. You know, we both were. And so, you know, we wrote some really awesome songs. We did eventually. And you know, we tracked them and demoed them and did the whole thing, and then just nothing happened. And then the opportunity to be in the band came to be. And at first I was super resistant to it. And I was like, I never pictured myself being in a band. I always wanted to be a solo artist. That was a thing. And, you know, my mom, once again, being kind of the voice of reason here, was just like, well, you know, you don't really have anything else going on.
Why not?
You know, and at that point, there was a really big producer involved, and, you know, it seemed like a good opportunity. And fortunately sorry, I thought I silenced that.
How dare you?
Pause.
So pro. Wait, no, well, I mean, the record, you know, people are trying to get a hold of you. we want you.
It's my mother-in-law.
Nice. Nice. Wait, well, so who's the producer for Gloriana?
Matt Serletic.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah. I remember my mom and I like background checking and, you know, like, who is this guy, you know, Matchbox 20 and all that. So
worth a Google.
Yeah. So, I mean, it ended up being an amazing opportunity. And I am actually really glad that I did it and that I went down that path, because there's so much that I learned that you can't ever tell anybody about or prepare anybody for until you go and experience those things yourself.
You have to do it firsthand. You can't go to class. No. You can't have somebody like tell you this is what it is.
Right.
Like, you don't understand what that pressure is, or how fast things move, or what those stages feel like. Who are you, happening? Rachel?
I swear, I thought... Okay, silent mode. If this rings again...
You proved it.
I'm sorry.
It's Apple listening in, and as soon as you get on Facebook or something, it's going to show you nothing but your record. All the way. Scrolling through trash in SoCal, friends back home. Here's Rachel's. Here's my record.
Oops.
Yeah. There is... I mean, you know what this is. We're definitely going to talk about Gloriana.
Yeah.
I mean...
That's fine. I'm totally fine too.
Is it okay?
It's funny because everybody's always like kind of tiptoeing around it. Like, is this all right? Of course. It's a part of my history. It's a part of
It is part of your history, life. But it's also the thing of like, I would feel this, like, I'm ready to move on. This is me.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
But that call...
Probably once I get this album out, I'll probably start to have to nip that in the bud a little bit.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get it before the record's out then. All right, so you got the call to join this thing. Now, was Gloriana like, was it a label thing? Was it a producer thing that they kind of wanted to put this in the marketplace?
Oh, yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Is it still hush-hush? Like, we can't talk about this?
I mean, you know, I feel like it's a delicate situation, and you know,
They put you at ease. How about this? that I've been through it.
Yeah.
I mean, Brooks and Dunn has been through it.
Yeah.
It is a real thing that people do in the marketplace.
Well, so the truth of it is that I had a MySpace music page and I had my music up there. And there was a guy who reached out to me and was like, I want you to get together with these two brothers and start working on music together.
Seems natural.
And so that was kind of how it all went. We were a band for almost a year, just the three of us, working on these songs and going into Matt's studio out in Los Angeles. He had this beautiful studio in Calabasas. And we were, it was a little bit difficult because, you got two brothers and then you got me who wanted to be a solo artist and kind of signed on to this thing, and we're trying to make it work, and we're starting to form a bond, but it's kind of like that takes a while, right? And so once we finally started to sort of get there, then all of a sudden our team was like, here's your other band member after like a year. Actually, we played at 3rd and Lindsley. That's what happened. We played,
a trio?
Yes.
Okay.
Played a showcase at 3rd and Lindsley. And I remember looking in the audience at this girl because I recognized her. I watched her MTV reality show. She had a season of a reality show on MTV. And I just remember being like, that's weird. Why is she here? And then they pulled us aside.
Such a Larry David moment for me.
Big time. And they pulled us aside and they're like, here you go. And it was just like, now really figure out how to be a band.
That's the way they do it. It sucks, but that's how it happens all the time.
It was crazy.
I've been through that.
Yeah.
I 100% know what that feels like.
And so all of a sudden, like all this work that we'd done to like really understand each other just got like totally obliterated, introducing somebody else into the mix, and so she had always, wanted to be a solo artist as well. And so you've got like 4 very, very headstrong people, trying to who all think that they're right about everything,
We're in music. We're not good in math, but let's put 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and we got success. We know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, was that maybe, well, I don't know. Keep going because I don't know the exit of the 4th person because I know a record came out.
Yeah. So we did one album together, and we had just finished recording our 2nd album. So we had recorded everything together as a 4-piece. We'd had all this new merch printed.
The identity of it, yeah.
With all of our faces all over it. And then we had shot a very expensive music video with her in it as well. And we're getting ready to release this album, and we're out on the road. We were out on tour. And I mean, it's not really my story to tell, but the long and short of it is that she just refused to get on the bus one night, and she kind of already quit the band like many other times before. Okay, and so I was at that point, I was just kind of sick of it, and everyone was like, what do we do? And I was just like, let's just go.
Yeah. Well, you get to that point.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, we got to go.
We had to get to our next show, and I'm not going to
And we've been through this before.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And have like a standoff with her about it. Like if she doesn't want to be here, she's, I think her mind's already made and she's just refusing to show up. So let's just go. And so we left. We went to the next city, and then she got onto our band's Twitter and tweeted out from our band's account that she was no longer a part of the band.
Dang.
And so everyone just like goes into full blown like panic mode.
Because Gloriana, I would think, prospectively thinking that at the 2nd record, at least gearing up for it, it's starting to become the thing.
Yeah.
Like because I don't know, I'm not sure timeline wise where, the Taylor Swift tour came up and the songs were released that really made Gloriana what it is or what it was.
Yeah.
But it's about this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so a lot of money was spent, and, it was just you just don't do that. It just was bad. It was really, really bad. And everyone was freaking out and trying to like shut her out of the Twitter because she was tweeting some crazy things and just like quickly deleting tweets.
Earth is flat.
Yeah, no, it was just like, God, it was crazy.
Well,
and
I just don't, I can't understand that. I don't know. And like you said, it's not your story to tell. You don't have to tell it. But the first record, it wasn't a flop. It was gearing up for the second record, like in the cycle. So in this first record cycle, what could have been really so bad about the situation besides ego? Let's throw that in. Because that also could just be part of it. Because again, you got these brothers over here. You want to be a solo. Everybody has these strong personalities. Ego has to get in the way somehow. But anyway,
of course, absolutely.
That could be something if I'm filling in the blanks myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that there were a lot of different reasons, but, you know, and I don't know that I'll ever really fully know because aside from hearing from her randomly a couple times in the last couple of years, very brief communications, you know, I haven't really asked and I haven't really had that sit down conversation with her about like why.
Are you interested? Like, would you do it?
No.
I understand. I think I would be just like that. It's in the past.
I'm very protective of my energy space these days. And I just feel like you said, the past is in the past. And I just don't want to reopen myself up to that. And I'm totally cool with being on good terms. And every time that she reaches out, I say something back, you know, and say hi and I hope you're well. But
it's also a thing of mental space too.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's me putting myself in your shoes. That would be really tight. That it would be to save my mental sake.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
No.
I'll just walk away and we're
exactly.
good.
Well, and also, I mean, we got along, but then we didn't get along. So, you know, and this was also 9 years ago. She left 9 years ago. So I'm just kind of like, I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was even that long ago.
Yeah. And I have a very different life and a different perspective now. And, you know, I kind of just don't want to go there.
I understand.
You know? But anyway, so her exit, though, actually was really good for us. And it ultimately is what brought me and the guys a lot closer together. And I think, we kind of worked extra hard to get over that hurdle and grew our bond after that, after her exit, and in a good way. And we ended up having our biggest song as a band after that. So, I mean, everything works out the way that it's supposed to, and everything happens for a reason. And I'm definitely a firm believer of that.
I am too, but it's just crazy how it works that way. Call it God, universe, whatever people believe in. Like, it just happens the way it happens.
Right.
I don't know how. I can't explain that. I don't know. I wish I could.
Yeah.
That explain a lot of things about me.
Yeah.
What that's worth. But okay, so second record, it blew up. Hitting Taylor Swift. Everything seems to be going good.
Yeah.
At least in my imagination.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what happened? I guess maybe now you're going through the tours, 2015 hits, somewhere in there.
It was a lot of up and down. It was a lot of, our career was very country radio heavy. So, sometimes we had songs that would do okay. Sometimes we had songs that did not do well at all.
Nature of the beast, maybe? I mean, is that just it?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever know why it wasn't fully clicking the same way that it clicks for other bands after you've had, essentially a number one song, which we had a number two song. We never had a number one.
Everybody says we had a number one, and you're thinking,
then didn't really get there, but
you did win like breakthrough artist. It seemed
we
like this track.
We had a lot of good things. We
Yeah.
definitely had a lot of good things, but there wasn't really any full like level of consistency, or like we kind of reached the next phase of, okay, this is really progressing. It was just so much up and down and kind of all over the place.
Did it feel like spinning your tires? Like no matter what you threw, whatever you tried to drive through, you couldn't go.
Yeah. And creatively too, I felt like I was just being stunted. And I also felt like I was pushed aside a lot of the times. And, it's not anybody's fault. Nobody's to blame for that. But that was hard on me. And especially as a songwriter and coming here at such a young age to write songs and to be standing up on stage singing other people's songs. It's not even about ego at that point. It's just about authenticity and just feeling like I don't even believe what I'm singing. So how do I expect the people in the audience to believe what I'm singing?
Yeah. So even at this time, it sounds like you're telling me like you knew who you were and what you wanted, but you weren't in maybe the right stage and the right people like to do like what you wanted to do.
I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know who I was. And that was the biggest issue.
The identity of it, like the inner core of who you are as a person to express yourself as an artist.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd been in this situation since I was 18 years old, and so my entire adult life from 18 to 26 was this band, and I didn't know who I was without it. And how could I even grow as an artist or even as a songwriter when I'm being, just kind of confined to a tour bus, 300 days out of the year.
Experience like life, quote unquote, the life of normalcy, whatever that means, to be able to relate and tell a story.
Right. Well, and most artists who move here, they come here and they find their friends, they find their people, they spend a lot of time in town and they're living their lives and they're writing about it. And then, things kind of slowly progress into the next thing. Well, my life has been so backwards here where it was like, I moved here, didn't really get out at all because I was too young, and then hopped on a tour bus and toured, for 8 years straight. Didn't really
big stuff too.
Yeah, and like
you're back in that dressing room as an actor. People are tying your shoes. It's the same. Well, I was about to be like, this seems like a pattern in your life that, at least the way you're describing it, just kind of feels like kindergarten again. It was hard to move, like to be this kid. They all have their friends. They're doing their thing. Here you are as a grown ass woman and still kind of going through the thing. Like life doesn't change. It's the people in it, right? I mean, you're still going to like tackle those situations.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I knew that leaving was going to be necessary just for my growth as a person and as an artist. And I wasn't fulfilled anymore. And, I kind of reached this like fork in the road where either I can stay and my life goes down this one path and maybe we just keep playing fairs and festivals and keep, at it and keep trying. And maybe we'll have a hit here and there and it's very comfortable. Or I can split off and go figure out who I am and live my life and write the kind of music that I really want to write. And, who knows where that's going to lead or what's going to happen, because I essentially ripped away that safety net. But, I felt like after 8 years and 3 records, like I just couldn't keep doing it anymore. I just didn't have it in me. It wasn't in my heart anymore. And that's not fair to anybody.
Yeah. So even listening to your record, it sounds like that. I always love talking to artists when they put records out like this, because it's kind of like, why am I doing interviews when they can just listen to the music? But I mean, like the first line of Cool, is it Cool or maybe Dark Star, that you're not scared of the unknown.
Dark Star, yeah.
Yeah, Dark Star. So it's not, you're not scared of the unknown. It's just the thing of being remembered.
Yeah, that's like, that was kind of the weird part about the ego for me that I had to learn to let go of. And this whole, I wrote that song in 2017 with a guy named K.S. Rhodes and another guy named Joe Pisapia. And we sat down and I was like having such a weird day. Well, I was having like a weird year actually, because, so much of life nowadays is sitting on your phone and staring at social media and comparing yourself to other people and their opportunities. And I was really frustrated and I didn't have anything really going at the time other than a manager. And, I was just trying to write, and I was talking to them about the situation and kind of where I come from and what's been happening. And I had this really legitimate fear about being forgotten, which is so stupid. You know, it's like, that's so ego driven. And I think I kind of had to, yeah, for sure.
I feel the same way. I
sure.
literally do, because I have this thing in my head that I want a legacy. I want to be remembered for something.
But isn't that ego?
Could be, but is it a bad thing? Maybe that's the question. Is it a bad thing or a good thing?
And that's why I was not afraid to go there in the song, is because I think that's just a real human thing, right? And especially nowadays, like everybody wants to feel like they're somebody, you know?
Yeah.
So
get on Instagram.
Yeah, but it really has been like such a weird mind fuck for me, because when I started out with this band, everything went so fast. Everything happened so fast.
It happens quick.
And
just the fast moving of tours and just the
Yeah.
opportunities and just things.
But this chapter of my life has been really, really slow.
You're on the Oregon Trail on a wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's so slow.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been definitely kind of a weird thing, but such a good thing. And, where I felt like I wasn't really living my life, I finally started living my life. And I think that comes across in the songs, because I had some real human experiences, and I was finally like getting hit with inspiration all over again and creativity all over again. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm as afraid about being forgotten anymore, because I'm just like, everything's going to work out the way that it's supposed to. That's just my mindset these days.
When did you leave the band?
2016.
Or when did they break up? 16?
Mm-hmm.
And then Dark Star, you said it was about 17.
I wrote that in 2017, but didn't put it out until 2018.
18, yeah, that sounds
End
right.
of 2018.
Yeah, so to me then, building up to at least, the solo career of Rachel Reinert. And here's another thing I even wanted to bring up too, and I wonder if this is a thing in your head, because I struggle with it personally, that, when you're in a band, it's everybody. Like, your identity's like wrapped in this band, and they say Rachel from Gloriana. They never say Rachel Reinert. To me, that says, well, I'm an individual. I have thoughts, feelings, and I put things in these songs that are me. I deserve to be Brandon Harrington or whatever.
Well,
was that a thing for you too?
Yeah, and I have intentionally not put it out there on any of my social media, or I mean, on my website you can read the bio. I'm not going to skip over that, but I intentionally don't like to post about any of that stuff as like hey, remember when I did this thing in 2012 and how cool that was? Like, please, like, give me, love and attention and praise for it. Because to me, it's just, that's in the past, and I'm doing a new thing now. And I feel like I'm so much more than what I was, and that being said, like, if people choose to remember me as that's fine. But I've moved on, and I don't want to like shove it down everybody's throat. Like, hey, remember when I did this, or remember when I won that, or like, it's not about that for me anymore.
Well, the reason I ask, because 16, the band decimated, whatever happened. And then 17, kind of working on new songs, like for your individual self as Rachel Reinert. Yeah, this is a process that you were feeling since 2010, right? I mean, like, becoming yourself, and this is something you've always wanted to do. So it's not like out of the blue, well, this thing ended in my life, and well, what else am I going to do? No, it's kind of always been a path for you, right?
Yeah.
You just took some left and
really
right turns.
Since 2005.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 16.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this was always, and the band to me, especially when I started, it was, okay, this is going to be a stepping stone towards being a solo artist.
I think that's the right way to think about it, right? I mean, if your initial goal is that I want to be Rachel Reinert instead of Rachel of Gloriana or whatever.
Right.
This is a casual step.
Right. And, maybe that is unfair of me to some degree to
that's the business mind.
Go into that situation. But, you can't help what your dreams are,
Right. I mean, well, it's a dream. It happens. I mean, people say that you have power and control over your dreams, like literal dreams, but do you really? I mean, I feel like it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
It just
does.
pops up wherever it comes from.
It does. And at that point in 2015, when I was making this decision, it was kind of like this little voice that just kept getting louder and louder and louder that I'd kind of pushed aside for a long time because, I put the band first, always put the band first. And so I just got to the point where I couldn't ignore it anymore,
What is that voice? Is it?
What is that voice?
Oh, man, puberty. But the thing about the voice, though, people call it intuition.
Yeah.
People call it. Would you call it intuition,
Definitely.
or is it something greater than that?
Definitely intuition. Well, I don't know. I'm a very spiritual person, so
Not religious, spiritual.
Yeah, I would say that my spirituality probably is rooted in religion to some degree. But for me, I believe in God, and I believe in, the power of the universe, and I believe in love, and, just really listening to yourself and being in tune. And so that's been kind of a big part of this whole process as well, is getting on track with my spirituality and kind of tapping into, what is greater than, myself. So that's been part of this journey. And I think it's helped me on a creative level as well.
I wonder what the thing is, because I feel like everybody has a voice somewhere, right? I mean, you can talk to people that's not spiritual or religious, or would say they're not intuitive, that there's something that drives them, but then, X career goes this way, X career goes that way, all happens for a reason. I just always try to put a pin on of like, what is that thing? And then what voice do you listen to? You know what I mean? Because your path and your voice has led you down this thing that you've always done, but then it just got louder and louder and louder. I mean, what if this other person's voice, I don't know, is screaming, but they're not listening? I don't know. It's always a thing in my head of what's that voice besides crazy?
I don't know. But I do think that even if you do try and ignore your intuition, you somehow still continue to get steered in the direction of where you're supposed to be headed, right? It's just about noticing the signs,
Being awake for those signs. I can't read that well, so that makes it really hard. I think that's a bit of my problem. It's just the, I don't know, in football they call it put your head on a swivel, being aware. And I don't know, there's a lack of awareness in today's society. I don't think that's just me, but I mean, just finding your path and that awareness, that's still a hard thing. Because, when you talk to a publisher and they're just kind of well, I know what a hit song is. Well, okay, well, what is it? I can feel it in my gut. Well, what's in your gut? Well, it's intuition. Well, that doesn't answer the question. It's just something so atmospheric that if everybody could write a hit song, they would.
Right.
And
exactly.
Probably for the most part, a lot of people do, at least in some way in their life.
Sure.
Down the road. But
sure.
That intuition. I don't have it, whatever it is. I'm just wondering where you got yours.
You got it. You've got it.
You think we all got it? Do you believe that?
100%.
Whatever that means?
Yeah, I do. I just think it's about tuning in and figuring out how to tune in and what makes sense for you. And it's, certain books and,
You're a reader?
I'm trying to be a better reader. I'm trying. Especially in the last 4 years, I've finally, I've just finished an entire book recently, which was a big deal for me because I would always start books and have such a hard time finishing them. I think just because of life and getting distracted and, how easy is it for us to binge watch a TV show, but I can't finish reading a book. And so that was one of my, New Year's resolutions was to read more. And
if a self-help book was like Harry Potter or something, I would be 100% into it. But that's the trouble for me, is like, I know these things like I want to fix.
Well, I really like the Oprah Super Soul Conversations podcast. And I think that she...
I love that we're both laughing about it, but we don't know why we're laughing about it.
Because it's Oprah, you know? Who's like the most epic person ever.
I know.
But she has amazing guests on there, and that's kind of how I discover a lot of these authors and these people, and kind of that's a lot of what I subscribe to, you know. And I just read this book by this woman named Gabby Bernstein, and so much of it is so great, and it's just about realigning yourself. And a lot of her practice is what she learned through Dr. Wayne Dyer. And she's really into like the Abraham Hicks stuff too. And, you know, some of it is a little bit woo-woo for some people, you know, but I'm really into it. And I believe that there's a lot of good in that. And a lot of it is just about, you know, just feeling good and being present and believing that you're where you're supposed to be, and letting go and surrendering.
That's a tough one for me. Seems really easy for
hard.
you.
It's really
letting
hard.
go.
It's really hard.
That's my problem.
Really, really hard, because we want to control everything. Mm-hmm. You know? So I'm practicing. I'm working on that.
How do you practice letting go? Because
such a weird, aloof concept,
it
right?
It is. I'm so jaded. I remember the worst first kiss, and I'm mad at her that she ruined it for her lizard tongue. Because that's the first kiss, and it's just like, it's supposed to be something different, but now it's this thing. I'm jaded. I literally hold on to everything or remember it. And then when I go back to try to let go, I'm remembering why I had this.
So you got to write that stuff down, and you got to learn how to like forgive all of those situations and realize why those things happen, because they brought you to the next place that you were supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
You know? So maybe that like crappy first kiss was what kind of set you off on this trajectory of your life that brought you to your, you know, your wife and your kids and all of that, you know? So it's all about just kind of looking at everything in hindsight, you know?
Yeah. Sarah Kate, if you're listening out there, you did it. You did it all. How dare her.
No, thank you.
No, see, well, that's hard. But that's like it's a thing in practice for you, like letting go. Because I do see this artistically in a lot of people. And I see it even business-wise. People just seem to really have a knack or a talent, or they've worked through it, of that they can just kind of move on and let go, not look behind, not let them hold them down.
Yeah.
But the thing, people can, you know, I feel like tangibly they can let that go, but then it's the emotional, mental cycle that you got to go through. I think that's where I fall short.
Right. Well, what do you like? Do you try to channel that energy into something good, you know, into something creative? That's at least like what I do, you know? If I ever get like really frustrated about something, you know, it's not like my initial go-to, but eventually as I'm processing through, you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to write this out, and maybe this could end up being a song, you know?
Yeah. Okay. For me, it's comedy and songwriting.
Right.
It's out there. It's the
Right.
same thing. It's a
Right.
release. You deal with it in
Yeah.
some way. Okay. Meh. Yeah. Sarah Kate.
Forgiveness.
That's a tough one.
About forgiveness.
It's all forgiveness. Yeah, forgiveness is a hard thing. Mm-hmm. It's just remembering what that is and then actually doing it, going to that person. I'm all about ghosting.
Well, you know, I don't think that it means that you got to like go send Sarah Kate flowers by any means, or like an edible arrangement, but
oh, I'd love that. I would love the edible arrangement.
but even if you were to like write it out, you know, write it out on a piece of paper and be like, you know, Sarah Kate, I forgive you for your weird lizardy tongue.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay. It sounds like this is something you've practiced in your life.
I try to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a daily practice for you?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
You sit around and meditate and think about these things to better yourself?
Yeah, and I definitely am not as consistent as I would like to be. That's something I also need to work on as well,
Nah.
you know.
Yeah. Whatever. Just let it linger and fester. Write a song about it.
It's a little half and half for me, you know. I mean, I wouldn't be an artist if I was like super zen all the time about everything, you know, but
well, Into the Blue though, I mean, listening to it I mean, I made the joke earlier, and I always do. It's just kind of like, well, why do I need to do an interview? You should just start sending, like Bobby Bones, like just send him a CD. And let him play it, the whole thing.
What do you mean?
Because it's all out there. You know what I mean? Like if somebody, because I can listen to your record and I feel like I understand and I know like what you went through. You know, whatever the line is with, I had 8 tattoos or call it 7 or 7. So something like that. And then also like the Dark Star line that was mentioned earlier. Like these are little, I feel like they're glimpses for me into your life and your process of letting go, moving on, becoming Rachel Reinert kind of thing. Is that the deal?
100%. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the biggest theme. And it's funny that we were talking about all that. Like the biggest theme for me is that, you know, if all of these things hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am now. And, you know, even though maybe my career isn't exactly where I want it to be right at this moment, I'm happier than I've ever been. And I've really started to live my life and create music that I feel is really meaningful and authentic. And that's more important to me than anything. And all I can hope for is that it connects with other people and that it reaches other people. And, you know, I think I had to go through this process for a reason. And I don't know that I would have been able to write these songs had I not gone through all of it. And I know that there are other people out there who, you know, they don't have to be in the music industry to know what a lot of these feelings feel like, you know.
That's where I took it first. And I think maybe just because of where I am most of the time and what that is in my headspace. And I would associate it to myself and say, okay, I like knowing the story of Rachel's life up to this point, this makes sense. But then when I listened to it for the third time, could I be a farmer on a tractor and understand it and apply it? Yeah, and there was cases where, yeah.
Cool.
I feel like I could.
Awesome.
A little empathy.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know that I feel like I was just trying to do what felt the most right to me and write the best songs that felt really, really good to me. And I don't know that everything is going to be for everyone, but that's okay. You know, I just don't have any fear anymore. And I think so much of what was Gloriana was driven by a lot of fear and a lot of, well, we're not country enough, or these songs are too pop, or prove what your Southern roots are. And, you know, so it was just a lot of that, which also it's exhausting.
I feel like you had to, oh my gosh. I feel like around 2010, let's just use your years, 2010 to 2015, you had to prove that on a constant basis of just because where country music was.
Yeah, it's exhausting. And, you know, the truth is that I, you know, even though I spent a little bit of time in the South, I, for the most part, grew up in Southern California. Those were my formative years, where I've spent more time living in the South now than I ever have in California. But it was just kind of taking a step back and going like, this is what I'm rooted in and this is what I know. So I'm just not going to fight with myself over that. And if someone wants to say that it's doesn't fit into this certain box, like that's okay. Like I'm fine with that.
I feel like country still does that, which is weird because it's 2020. And when you ask, you know, the person that listens to music, I mean,
they listen to everything now.
Yeah. Oh, what's a genre? I mean, I talk about this pretty consistently, but country seems to still be stuck in that.
Yeah. And you know, where I feel like you know, it's my home, and the way that I write songs and the storytelling and the lyrical aspect lives there. But I think I just separated myself from the fear of just being confined to the boundaries. You know what I'm saying? And I just know that people are not listening to, I mean, there's always going to be traditionalists.
Oh, yeah. I am, to a sense. I mean, I have a Waylon record on my vinyl right now that I'm listening to.
And so do I. I've got everything. I've got such a wide range. Yeah. And I think that that's most people now. So it was just kind of extracting the fear from all of this and just going for it and just doing what felt right to me. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're watching.
Yeah.
You have tattoos.
Yeah.
You're a deep person. You are. People that have tattoos have meanings behind
Dude,
them, right?
but here's the thing though, like a lot of them, like they've got to go, like eventually.
All right. I know you already
think
got
they've
rid of
gotta
one. That
Yeah.
question's already been answered in the past. I love that it was a music note.
I love
flying
it.
away.
I love it. I love
But
it.
anyway, wait, well, what's got to go? I see the Roman numeral 3 right now.
That's fine.
Okay.
I've got one on my finger that I cover up with a ring.
What is that one?
It's a bow on my middle finger.
Wait, like a hair bow or like a fiddle bow?
It's like, it looks kind of like a red bow tie. Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of over. I've got this Pisces symbol. So what happened was my old bandmates were covered in tattoos.
Yeah, sure.
And I like loved that, and I was 18 and I was like, yeah, I'm going to get tattoos.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So most of them happened between like ages 18 and 20.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well, this may mess up everything where I was going. I don't know. Well, are you a deep thinker then? Because to me, tattoos have obviously a meaning behind them.
Yeah.
They mean something.
Yeah.
And I mean, my tattoos, they mean something to me internally.
Yeah. Well, of course I'm a deep thinker. I mean, like,
Yeah,
how
of
can
course.
you be a songwriter?
Well,
if
I'm
you're-
associated to tattoos.
But my tattoos aren't that cool. Like I want, like, if what, everyone's got a lot of these like really like the single needle, like almost the Pinterest tattoos that are like
Yeah.
really beautiful. That was not a thing when I started getting
It's come a
all
long
tatted
way.
up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I gotta work on some of these. I might just turn them into other things or just get rid of them altogether. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That still works with my train of thought, because my train of thought is that, okay, I got a deep thinking person that thinks in allegory and all these different literal things. And for the record, Into the Blue, I mean, my deep question is, well, what does blue mean to you? Like, what is blue?
Blue is a lot of things to me. So it's funny, like when I was thinking of what I wanted to call this album, there was a lot of that as a theme, and that wasn't intentional. And to me, it's the association with the sea and the sky, but it's also blue representing a lot. Like if you look up what the color blue means, like from a spiritual aspect, it's depth and truth and reflection. Those were like the main things for me. And so
We don't associate. Well, the country doesn't associate blue that way, right? I mean, you feel blue, or it's a
right.
blue
So
sky.
it could be open to interpretation, I
Sure.
guess. But to me, it was coming out of the darkness and then going into the blue. And so
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
great.
line from Ocean, and the line is, "We're like waves on the ocean in the indigo below the changing moons. Just like waves on the ocean, I will sway for years with you into the blue." And so it symbolizes more just depth and happiness and truth. And like for me, especially growing up in California, there's just so much blue with the sea and the sky and everything like that. So, and then you've got Who I Am Right Now, which talks about if I'd never started searching, I'd still be somewhere out there floating on the surface. And so, it's just it's about depth more than
Yeah.
anything for me.
Yeah. Well, the record surprised me, especially Into the Blue.
In a good way?
Oh, totally. 100%. I would tell you if in a bad way. In a way, I would tell you. But no, it surprised me definitely in a good way, because, I mean, I'm a songwriter too, and you want to understand something before you go into it. We all do in some capacity. And then Into the Blue, start thinking about country. Okay, country themes, but listen to the record with the sounds, like that Laurel Canyon, Lucinda Williams kind of thing, or Tom Petty. I mean, anytime there's just drums, bass, and a vocal, like I'm 100% in.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that feels great.
And that's really like where we started in the studio. So, I mean, it was almost every song except for one I co-wrote with, I co-wrote every single song, but there's only one that I did not write with my producer, which was Dark Star. But our process was so, like, we would get in, and Davis was so great at creating the foundation of what the song was just there in his little studio setup.
Is Davis Nash? Is that his last name? Yeah.
And so when we got into the studio to put drums and bass on everything. I mean, we that was literally all that we did. I mean, it was my husband on the drums, and then Rich Brinsfield on the bass. And we just went in, and they would hear the vibe of everything, and then they would add their vibe to it. And then we would go in and cut my vocal. And then after that, Davis would do his thing. So he would add his acoustic guitar and his piano and kind of like all the fun little like whimsical, dreamy sounds and vibes and everything like that. So everything was just like a very layered piece by piece process, which is so different than what I was doing when I was in the band.
Yeah.
You know, where you go in the tracking room and you've got like everybody in there and it's just like the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. They spent about $500,000 on your first Gloriana record.
I don't think you're very far off, honestly.
I'm not.
That was back in the day, man.
Dude, 100%. And then you're walking into this, and I could walk away with $10,000.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, we did this, you know, in just like such a organic, it was just so relaxed. And
it sounds that way.
Yeah.
Especially knowing the Hubs. The Hubs played drums too. He's a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so dynamic. He's in a rock band. And so I think sometimes people have this impression that he can only do that, but he's a Belmont guy and he's versatile and he reads music and plays piano and he was a big influence throughout this entire record. Like there was so much that I leaned on him for as well. And, his ideas and how versatile he is and how amazing he is in the studio. Like he's just really, really great. And it's funny because I read somebody commented something on Darkstar like, oh, they should have put real drums on this. And I'm like,
surprise.
Those are real drums. But I guess he's that good, you know?
They're close to Tyler Bryant. Does he still play with Tyler?
He does.
He does. He still do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's good. I've seen him live.
Yeah. I agree. And that we actually met through Gloriana. So, if it hadn't been for that, you see?
Look at you. You're so much more positive than I am. I hate you. Yeah, you guys are so beautiful too. It made me sick. It really did. Looking at it's a compliment, I promise.
Thank you.
Looking at the people photo shoot, I just thought, this is a perfect Chip and Joanna Gaines shiplap house. Perfect.
Well, listen, I mean, we did a super, super tiny wedding. I mean,
it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We almost 6 months now.
Mm.
Yeah, we just did immediate family only and just got married out in the woods.
We did it too.
I'm all for do whatever you want to do, like whatever you've dreamed of. But I just never dreamed of having a big wedding or doing the whole thing, spending the money.
Yeah.
And I'm so I have no regrets about it. I'm so glad that we did it the way that we did. And of course, you get a little bit of backlash from friends and family.
Oh, 100%.
But it was the best decision that we could have made.
Yeah.
Hands down, for sure.
Yeah. Our first choice was eloping. And then
that's what we were going to do too.
Oh, because there's no such thing as a perfect wedding. I mean, even if it's a big wedding, you plan it out as much as possible. Somebody's going to ruin it.
Yeah, exactly.
In your family.
Exactly.
Somebody is.
Exactly.
And somebody ruined ours in our little family situation. And there's just no perfect situation.
No.
Unless it's just you two. I mean,
yeah.
Except for the band. I don't want the band there. But if it's just you two people in a room with a judge or a pastor, whatever you do. Yeah, that's the best way.
It was great, and it was so low pressure, and we didn't even have a reception. We just
didn't either.
Moved everyone over to a tent and had cake and drank champagne and sent everyone on their way, and then we balled out on our honeymoon though. So that's where the would-be wedding money went to. So
yeah. We did this exact same thing. We didn't have alcohol though because my wife's family is anti-alcohol, but shit, when we got on that boat, it was lit. It was lit. Okay. Well, it sounds like really life seems really good. Is it good?
It is. I feel like the most me I've ever been, and I'm so proud of the music that I have made. And yes, there are certain things that I wish were happening, and I don't have any plans of touring yet, and I would love to get back out on the road. And I just want people to hear the music. That's the main thing for me, is just getting these songs heard. And, so I'm just kind of staying in that flow and trying to keep myself in the right headspace. It's hard sometimes, and I definitely have my down days for sure.
Yeah. I understand that because it's the thing of, I mean, you create something, you want people to hear it. You want people to listen.
Well, especially I've spent so long working on this, 4 years, 4 years. And in the midst of that, just had to make a lot of sacrifices. I went broke in the process, so.
Did you sell your house at one point too? Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not like a woe is me situation by any means.
I'm not hearing that.
But, I was and am willing to do whatever it takes, because I care that much and because I love this that much. And my heart really is in performing as well, so I just really hope for the chance to get out there and do my thing.
No tour plans yet? That's what I heard.
No.
That'll happen. Take the hubs out.
Yeah, right.
Take Tyler Bryant and then out. Except Tyler Bryant.
Yeah, I think Tyler would kill me.
No, he's a little guy. You can take him. He's nothing. He's all edge, but he's got nothing. He's not sharp.
He's pretty skinny.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess he is pretty sharp. He's jagged. Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear things are well.
Yeah, everything's good. I'm really, really pleased with the trajectory that everything is on. And I love my people over at Orbison and still working and Green Iris. And it's a team full of amazing women and men, but I'm working directly with mostly women, and they get it, and they let me do my thing, and they've totally stayed out of the way, and they've just been like,
how abnormal.
Yeah, I know.
On so many fronts.
I know. And I just feel like I'm going through this process all over again on the polar opposite end of the spectrum, so everything that I thought I knew is just it's totally different this time around. So I guess in a lot of ways I savor it differently and look at all of it differently, and every opportunity is an amazing opportunity. And I definitely was guilty of, just not being grateful enough, for all the things that I did have in the past, and then you look back on it after it's all said and done, and you're just like, damn, I had a lot of really great things, I hope I get to that point again,
Yeah, I think so. I bet it might even look different too, But
that's growing up though, I think too.
I think so as well. I mean, because what you think or imagine or what you were around then, it's great, 100%. But then, fast forward into real time where you are now, it's kind of, it's a little slower. You can appreciate, you can stop and smell the roses.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. I know some of those Orbison people. You're working with all the ladies over there. Again, that's an abnormal thing. Usually I have a 40-year-old white guy trying to tell you what to do.
We got a few of those too, but they're good. They're really good and very respectful. And, I'm just very fortunate to have a lot of wonderful people supporting my vision.
I'll take that. Some people aren't happy with the record deals, but it sounds like you're happy and everything.
I am.
I'll take it.
I'm just excited to see what comes next.
Good.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. That's it.
What about you?
I never know. My day is just waiting for that 1 second for something to fuck up. Just
my phone?
Just so I can remember it and I can bring it back later and deal with it. But this time I'm going to forgive it much later down the road.
Yeah.
That's it for the newest episode. Again, we're just continuing content as it comes in. I'm just going to release it. No edits. I'm done editing. It's coming out. It is what it is. But here we go. Rachel Reinert is awesome. Be sure to go to @RachelReinert. And then on that Instagram, Rachel_Reinert. Go to her website, RachelReinertMusic.com. Into the Blue. It's out. Go stream it. Go enjoy it. New episodes coming out on Tuesday or whenever it's out. The best way to know is subscribe. Hit that beautiful subscribe button on your podcast platform. And of course, as always, you enjoy this episode, you get something out of it, whatever that means. It's entertaining, made you chuckle, you learned something, it was informative, I don't know, was it interesting? Share it with friends, share it on your socials. That's all I ever ask. Where there's no Patreon, I just don't have the bandwidth, I don't have the headspace, I don't have that thing to ask, to give, whatever that means. Go to your socials, just spread the word. Patient Zero. Too soon? Too soon. SMI Podcast, smipodcast.com. Visit us online. Send us an email. Send us your love mail. Send us your hate mail. I get a lot of love mail, so it's great. Every once in a while, I've had a couple of hate mail. That's when you know you're doing it right. So I'm doing something wrong here recently. So we'll find out. We'll see what's going on then. Guys, take care of yourself. Be right, do right, and go from there. Stay safe out there. Happy surviving.